There's absolutely no question that there's going to be an ongoing battle between Apple and Samsung. The iPhone 6 Plus, the iPhone 6, the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, the Samsung Galaxy S6. There's always going to be a battle going on between these two for whatever reason. I personally think that both of these are great devices. They both have their good high points and they both have some low points. But it seems to me that the main conversation and topic that's going on right now, well, one of them is the actual battery and how long these devices will last, how much screen on time you get. Things like this are important to people, and it's important to me too. So I want to answer some questions or give a short video on topic to talk about the battery life on the iPhone 6 Plus versus the Samsung Galaxy Note 5. So let's get into this. Now, first off, you have the iPhone 6 Plus that has been known to have great battery and great standby time. So I've actually been using this device. I use both of these daily, but I use this one more. So this one's been a lot more idle than it normally would be. You know how it is when you get a new device, you want to use it. So going into the settings here, I want to show you the usage and also the standby time. You know, the standby time on this device obviously is going to be great. So it's been in use for almost 4 days on the same charge, as you can see here. And I've only used it for 14 hours or so, going on 15 hours. So you can see what I've been doing here. Lots of hangouts, messages, and you know, just kind of some things here. Background usage on a couple of these. But pretty much this is still on the same charge and the battery is still at 25%. Now, the Samsung Galaxy Note, obviously, I'm using it a heck of a lot more. So I'm going to charge it every other day or every day and a half. I've been getting this on the charger. This does last at least a day with heavy use, but you won't get nearly as much screen on time as you will with an iPhone 6 Plus when you're using it heavily throughout the day. I'll go back to the iPhone 6 Plus. With the iPhone 6 Plus, I'm able to get at least 2 days or at least a day and a half of use on a single charge with really heavy use. But what that gives me also is about 6 hours or more of screen on time in every charge, and that's really hitting it hard. And still so I'm still able to I'll still have battery life left even after that 6 hours of screen on time. The most I've gotten out of this iPhone 6 Plus was a little over 7 hours of screen on time in one day. And screen on time basically is what's the most important to people because it shows how well your device will perform with usage, heavy, light, or whichever you use. Now, in go over to the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, I have only been able to get no more than 5 hours of screen on time at best, and also that's the one time I've only gotten that, I think, maybe once. Every other time I'm getting at least 4 hours of screen on time. So there's a lot that plays into this. Now, this has a 2,915 milliamp hour battery, and this has a 3,000 milliamp hour battery. Both non-removable. That doesn't matter to me. What matters most is how often I'm going to have to charge these devices, and that should matter to you as well. When you have to charge your device a lot, it could be a little frustrating. So in doing so, I tested both of these, and I've been testing these. Now, right now, this one's getting a little bit more useful. When I say I tested, I put them to the same test and doing the same task, like watching a video for 2 hours or putting a movie on and just let it get played for an hour and a half to see how much battery drain actually happened. And the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 is pulling more battery because it has a much higher resolution screen. That and Android. When it comes down, when it comes down to performance, the Note 5 obviously is a high performer, does really good, but the way that Android is optimized, it pulls more battery. It's just more fragmented. It's just no way to get around it. I don't think I will ever get the battery life out of this phone that I can get into this phone, because this is a higher resolution display. The specs are completely different operating system. But when we're talking about just battery, fair is fair. The iPhone 6 Plus gets better battery life. There's just no way to put it. The way the system is optimized, it performs better. And some people say, I've said it before, that it kind of pauses things in the background, but there's syncing going on. I never turn off sync for the iPhone. Like, I don't have anything not syncing. But sometimes I have to turn it off or put this in ultra power saving mode to really pull or catch up to the way this one is doing. But nonetheless, the Note 5 gives good battery life. Getting 4.5 hours to 5 or almost 6 battery life out of this phone is fantastic when you consider the specs. It has a very high resolution screen on here. I mean, much higher than this phone. So this phone is going to get good battery life. Now, if they bump this up to the same resolution as this screen, then we'll have a different test. We'll see how well their system is optimized. But for right now, with a resolution of 1080p versus, which is 1080p 1920 versus 1440 by 2560, it's kind of a no-brainer that this one will pull more battery in use. When the screens are on, this has a matte screen protector on it, by the way. Tempered glass are on the way, so it looks kind of dull. But nonetheless, this is going to not perform as well as this. This argument can go on forever, but the fact remains that this is a high resolution display. The specs are completely different. The operating system is completely different. It's a very feature-rich device. And so in doing so, it's going to pull more battery. It's just going to happen. Some people say, well, you need to let the battery drain all the way to zero. You don't have to do that. The battery is going to perform how it's going to perform. You can let it go to 5%, 10%, 15%. It just depends on how you're using it. That's all it is. That's all it is. And so I believe, and I think a lot of people would agree, that we're never going to get the same battery life in these two phones, because this one has a lower resolution display. The way the system is optimized, there's too many things that play into a part as to why this one gets better battery life. I know that the way Apple's operating system is optimized, even on my iPhone 6, it just gets better battery life than several other phones. Now, that's not to say that every iPhone has better battery life than every other Android phone, because we know that's not true. It's just that the specs on these two particular devices are completely different, and the operating systems warrant this one to get much better battery life. And we all know that the standby time on the iPhone 6 Plus and the iPhones, just iOS, it is phenomenal. I can keep this at 100. It'll stay at 100 if not used. And when it's at 100, it'll just stay in standby. It'll just drain all, just like the Max. The battery life is ridiculous. 12.5 hours, 14 hours on a single charge of use is really, really nice. So how do I feel about the battery life on the Note 5? It's doable. It's definitely a keeper. I mean, it's not a reason to read the blogs and read what other people are putting online. Oh, the battery life sucks. I wish I had a removable battery. Yada, yada, yada. Whatever. So everybody who says that, they're not going to get the device anyway. So they're just there to cause uproar or just create this unwanted conversation about why a device isn't good. Like the stupid article that was posted by a certain blog about putting the S Pen in backwards. Come on, man. That's just silly. Obviously, if you put this in, jam it in there, it's going to break. But nonetheless, the battery on this phone is good, man. Should it have been, I said it in the unboxing in my other updated video on it, should it have been a 4,000 milliamp hour battery? Oh yeah, that would have been sweet. I'm pretty sure a lot of us would have accepted just a little bit more thickness, take this to 8.5 millimeters and give us a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, and I'd be set. They don't have to keep it at 7.6 millimeters. Thickness, I don't really care about that anymore. I want long battery life and a beautiful display and some good features. This phone packs all of that. It's just like every other high-end device that comes from Android. As I said, every other, not all. You're going to get poor battery life to some. And to me, this is good battery life. Coming in at, you can see what it's averaging here. 4 hours and 20 minutes average. You know, and that's what basically a full day almost. But, you know, battery life is all dependent on the user as well. We all know this. And that's just the way it's going to be going with all smartphones. You know, when I do have this device full swing, I can get over 6.5 hours of screen on time nearly every time on every charge. And the fact that it doesn't pull the resources in the background like Android, it still pulls resources in the background. It's still working in the background because when I get up, I've got tons of things syncing. It's the same thing. Both of these phones sit side by side every night, and they're both syncing. And the same email accounts sometimes sync. I have them synced to both. That way, if I just want to grab one, you know, I can check the email from either iOS over here, whatever, Gmail over here. It's going to happen. You're not going to get the best battery life out of these two. Excuse me, out of the Note 5. But, you know, hey, it is what it is. You know, I like all the operating systems, but I'm not going to be biased just because the Note 5 is new and say that it has the best battery life. To me, it doesn't matter if it has a removable battery or not, because I don't buy extra batteries, man. I buy like an external case or something. People whine about these things before the devices even come out. They're never going to buy them. They just get online, they blabber off a bunch of stuff talking about how they hate it, or they're not going to buy it because of this, and never ever buy it. And they just completely agree with everything they see online. That's the wrong way to go about it. You got to buy it yourself, and you've got to check the device out and put it to your daily use and tasks. And that way you'll get to determine how your battery life is, because this is my battery life. I can guarantee you I'm a pretty heavy user, so I'm either editing something on here, and that's the thing about this phone. This is such a feature-rich device. I can do so much with this. It's just amazing, you know, and that's why I'm pulling a lot more battery life as well. It's just really good. I found myself really using this device heavily, and that's why I'm averaging 4.5 hours of battery life. Leave a comment if you have the Note 5. If you don't have it, be quiet, please. Don't comment on don't comment on the battery life if you don't have the phone. If you haven't used it, don't tell me what somebody else posted online. You go ahead and, you know, give your thoughts about the way it looks or whatever you think it should be. That's great. But if you can't comment on the battery life if you don't own the phone. If you haven't been using it for a week or two, you just honestly can't comment on whether the battery's good or not. You can only comment on your current device. But if you have the Note 5, go ahead and leave a comment on in there and let me know what your battery life is like, what type of user you are, and tell me what you think about it also. I really like the Note 5. So I'll see you guys in the next video. It's your man Jay Will. Battery life update, since that's such a hot topic on these two particular devices. But iPhone 6s Plus will be sitting right here next month, and whenever it launches, it's going to be sitting right here next to the Note 5. We'll see you in that video. Full review of the Note 5 will be coming up soon, so stay tuned. I want to use it a little bit more, get a feel for it, and try to give you a really nice review. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.